Hello you Liverpool swords, I'm Josh from What Culture, and if you were listening very closely the other night, you might have heard the final two nails being hammered into a coffin that read Netflix's Marvel Cinematic Universe. With the official cancellations of The Punisher and Jessica Jones, the streaming service has fully washed its hands of the MCU. Season 3 of the latter show is still coming, but it's set to be the death knell when it arrives later this year. Though it's sad, it shouldn't be surprising, as the move has been a long time coming. Iron Fist was cancelled in October last year after 2 seasons, and just a week later Luke Cage was canned as well. That wasn't promising for fans of this universe, and even less so considering the news came on the eve of Daredevil Season 3. Within another month, Daredevil was gone as well. That meant the writing was very much on the wall for The Punisher before its second season had even aired. Exactly a month after that dropped on Netflix, Netflix dropped it, and Jessica Jones besides. It marks a stark turnaround in fortunes for this dark corner of the MCU, given it was lauded as one of the best things Marvel had ever done when it launched back in 2015. Those heights seem a long way off now that all of the respective shows have been cancelled, but what exactly led to their demise? I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and this is Netflix's MCU. What went wrong? Number 5. Iron Fist and the hints of frailty. With the launch of Daredevil in 2015, things got off to a better start than Netflix and Marvel could have ever dared dreamed of. The show was a hit with both critics and audiences, instantly banishing memories of the 2003 film and showing a completely new, more adult side to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It wasn't just the decapitations either, but the actual adult themes that the regular MCU simply couldn't dive into. They quickly went 2 for 2 with Jessica Jones, which went even further into the darkness and found more approval there. Its next offerings were Daredevil Season 2 and Luke Cage, both of which had a couple of issues but were largely received in the same vein. Either way, they fleshed out the world and cemented it as a universe worth investing in. For the first 4 seasons in this universe, the Rotten Tomatoes scores read as follows: 99%, 93%, 80%, and 94%. RT ratings aren't totally indicative of quality, of course, but it is indicative of the wave the MCU was riding. But after that impeccable run, what was the Rotten Tomatoes score for Iron Fist Season 1 again? Oh yeah, it was 18%. That's like the same success rate I have getting through videos without mispronouncing something. It's not good. Again, critics can be wrong, and Iron Fist has its fans. Its audience scores a much healthier 73%, for instance. But it was the first sign that, for all Luke Cage's powers, the Netflix Marvel Universe wasn't bulletproof. After one hell of a start in Hell's Kitchen, the fact that this flopped along with the repeat of the hand, one of the lesser elements of Daredevil Season 2, was a worrying sign, although the Defenders had the chance to put those fears to rest. Number 4, the Defenders' disappointment. When the Netflix-Marvel partnership was first announced, there was a clear goal in mind. 4 heroes, 4 seasons, and then the team up with the Defenders. It was the perfect crime. The template itself was fairly clear, as it was following what worked so well for Phase 1 of the MCU, with the origin stories leading to the main event. That put the stumbles into a necessary context as well. It didn't matter too much if Luke Cage dropped off or if Iron Fist dropped the ball completely, much like it didn't matter that, say, Iron Man 2 was a bit rubbish, which it was, sorry Scott. It's all in service of the larger whole, and if that delivers like the Avengers did, then it all works out perfectly fine. Unfortunately, the Defenders didn't deliver, like, at all, and if it did, it was so dark you wouldn't have even noticed it. God, I'm still not over how bad the lighting was in this show. Despite having some good character moments, especially for Matt Murdock and Jessica Jones, the show somehow still felt like a slog, despite only having 8 episodes. It didn't bring the kind of action you'd expect from having 4 superheroes teaming up, and the plotting was all over the place and on the dull side as well. While Iron Fist wasn't great, Defenders was by far the biggest disappointment yet, even if it was arguably of a much higher quality. This was the show that everyone involved really needed to be a hit, and missing the target here was the turning point for the fortunes of the rest of the Netflix MCU. Also, have I mentioned how dark it was? I mean, come on! Number 3, declining quality and viewership. Netflix very rarely provides ratings data for their TV shows and movies, the cheeky, mysterious scamps that they are. And they're certainly not independently verified and only really get mentioned when the service wants to brag, telling us how many people watch Sex Education, You, or Bird Box, for instance, with numbers that, yeah, sound impressive, but which ultimately don't mean all that much without any context. Cause sure, 40 million people watch Bird Box, but how many people actually made it through to the end? All this makes it difficult to paint a clear picture of the Netflix shows declining in viewership, but the few metrics that are available suggest it's been happening ever since The Defenders. Looking at social media trends, for example, Crimson Hexagon's research via Business Insider showed that online buzz had dramatically decreased between seasons for Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. Likewise, data provided to Screen Rant by analytics company Jumpshot similarly suggested declining interest in these shows the longer they went on, especially after The Defenders. This is backed up by the fact that, for the most part, there was a decline in quality after that initial batch of shows. Putting aside The Punisher for now, as he wasn't a member of the team initially, things weren't great. Jessica Jones' season 2 was a massive letdown compared to the first. Luke Cage's second season couldn't match the superb first half of season 1, and Iron Fist did improve slightly, but it was starting from the lowest point, and that didn't really mean too much. Again, take The Punisher out of the equation, and you've got a run of shows that reads Iron Fist season 1, The Defenders, Jessica Jones season 2, Luke Cage season 2, and Iron Fist season 2. Luckily, Punisher was good, because otherwise that's a very weak lineup. And don't get me wrong, things did bounce back with Daredevil season 3 of course, but by that point, the damage had already been done. The show had too many recurring problems, chiefly the pacing issues, which were hardly ever addressed, save for Iron Fist season 2, and since it was made out like they were all connected and you needed to watch all of them, it's easy to see why people might simply give up entirely. Number 2. Disney+. When The Defenders verse first launched, Netflix and Marvel complemented each other nicely. But now they're about to become direct competitors. The streaming industry has only gotten bigger since Daredevil launched, and everyone wants a piece of the pie now, including the Mouse House. They're set to launch their own service later this year titled Disney+, and are aiming to do so with a bang. They have a number of ambitious plans for the service, led by the first ever live-action Star Wars TV show, The Mandalorian, but it's also going to feature a lot of MCU TV shows. Series centered around Loki, Scarlet Witch and Vision, and Bucky and Falcon are all in the works, with other rumors pointing to the likes of Hawkeye and Lady Sif also being involved. I'm personally still waiting for them to greenlight the Ghost Rider stoner comedy that I pitched titled Johnny 420 Blaze It, but if that's not going to happen, I'll happily take a Cog and Meek 20-minute comedy sketch show instead. Please, Marvel, make it happen. Either way, all of these shows will be overseen by Marvel Studios, with big screen actors reprising their roles and $100 million budgets to play with. Understandably, they're going to be more important to Disney than the Netflix shows, but that also makes them the competition as well. This is being taken further as they increase their stake in Hulu via the Fox purchase, where they'll be launching even more Marvel shows, even copying the Defenders' plan with The Offenders. On top of that, Disney will be taking content away from Netflix, where their movies currently stream, and onto Disney+. If they're going up against Netflix, then why would Netflix keep making shows for them? Making MCU series ultimately contributes to the Disney brand, and it doesn't make much sense for Netflix to be doing that now. Number 1. Netflix doesn't need Marvel anymore. It's worth remembering that Netflix and Marvel made their initial deal way back in 2013. This was a time when Marvel were only tentatively stretching out into the realm of television. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., for instance, had only just launched when this was announced, and Netflix were only beginning to make a splash as a producer of original content. Much like how Disney now have their own plans for MCU TV shows beyond Netflix, ABC, Disney+, and Hulu with the Fox merger offers plenty of options for an array of content that they have full ownership of. Netflix also has a lot more to offer besides Marvel. Back in 2013, they'd had breakthroughs with House of Cards and Orange is the New Black, but using the Marvel brand was a huge boost for them. They hadn't established themselves as major players in the TV market quite yet, and here they were aligning with the biggest franchise in cinema at the time, and still now. Now though, Netflix is spending billions on their own content, for better or worse. They're a brand unto themselves. They have other comic book properties, such as The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina and The Umbrella Academy, which fit much closer with the rest of their output. And the clincher is they won't have to pay as much for those and can have complete control over them. The same can be said for their deal with Mark Miller. They purchased his Millarworld, which will produce multiple TV shows and films for them. They can't get that with Marvel, which is ultimately servicing Disney. Netflix likely paid big bucks for the IPs back in 2013, and the shows come with a markup that makes them much more expensive than most of their other originals. That made sense back in the days when they had only a couple of noteworthy series, but now they drop one every weekend and they just cram them in. For them now, it's an unnecessary expenditure. All of these comic book properties are on top of their other huge huge shows as well, such as Stranger Things or The Haunting of Hill House. Not to mention surprise big hitters like Sex Education and You. Netflix have a habit of capturing the zeitgeist and demanding your attention in a way that few networks ever could. And what's more, they're doing it at a ridiculous rate. The deal suited both sides in the beginning then, but the cancellation suits both sides now. Netflix have an almost unwatchable amount of content with a capital C, which is only going to increase over the next year or two. Weirdly, they no longer need Marvel. So that's our take on Netflix's Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm sad to see it go despite its problems, but I think you can probably agree with me that it kind of makes total sense, and I'm excited to see what Disney do with Disney+. Either way, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below, and while you're there, could you give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to whatculture.com for more lists and news like this every single day. Even if you don't though, I've been Josh, you've been watching What Culture, and I'll see you soon. Bye.